Good morning, my name is Chiquita Searle and I'm the General Manager of the League of Extraordinary Women. This morning we're absolutely delighted to have Sarah Jade Dorrington from Sarah Jade Hairdressing and Beauty with us. Sarah is one of our fabulous League members and she's been with us quite a while. So welcome and thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and giving us your time. So tell us a little bit about Sarah Jade Hairdressing and Beauty. Tell us about, what is it?
Okay, so Sarah Jade Hair and Beauty is all about, when you walk through our front doors, is taking you away from your everyday grind. I have a lot of business women, mums that are in a fast-paced life, who are also business ladies, men who are corporates. I do a lot of football players, we do a lot of sports physicians, doctors, nurses. We have every form of clientele in there because we take them away from their everyday by the way they feel when they walk in the door, to being able to do your work there if you want to, head massages, talking, laughing, just making you feel comfortable. I just feel like hairdressing salons forget that. I forget that you're an individual. We offer all services from hair, beauty, manicures, pedicures, facials, massage, makeup for special occasions, formals and eye makeup, and we do it with hair. We take photos of you.
Gosh, it's literally a one-shop stop.
That's how I wanted it to be. I wanted you to be able to fit in anything you could possibly do in 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours, and that's all you ever have. Once you're there, you want to get everything done, so why not have the option?
So Sarah, you have Sarah Jade Hairdressing and Beauty, which is amazing. So tell us how the idea for it came about. What sparked the venture?
Well, ever since I was young, I wanted to be more than just a hairdresser. I wanted to prove out there that women didn't need to feel like they had to leave school and only be a hairdresser and be known as a hairdresser. So I wanted to make a difference. And I worked for people in management and I tried to do it in that sense, and did lots of courses, worked on myself, but no one really saw my vision of service over a medical type of feel when you're going to a hairdressing salon. I wanted to change the way hairdressing was done and how you felt about it when you walked in the door. So my major thing was that I kind of quit my management job all of a sudden. There's a long story behind it all. I ended up in front of the Mariana Hardwick building one night crying over all my decisions, and I looked up and I was like, oh God, I need to work here. And when I did finally decide to open the shop, I opened it up in the Hardwick building and I thought, this is it, this is my dream, this is where I need to start. And I worked hard and long to try and open a salon that would change things.
So had you always wanted to be a hairdresser?
Yeah.
So it was always a thing?
Yes.
So did you finish school? Did you finish school
my
and then do your apprenticeship?
My mum wouldn't let me leave high school. So during during high school, I actually worked in a hairdressing salon. So since I was 14, and I did it full time pretty much anytime I could. I did it as a 7th subject all the way through trade school, everything. So I tried to finish my apprenticeship really quickly. And I eventually, when I finished high school, I finished my apprenticeship within a year, which normally takes 4 years. And I did courses.
Speedy.
Yeah, well, I'd worked for 4 years prior, in the salon on my school holidays, on my weekends, after hours. I was begging my boss always to let me in, and I don't even know how I did it, because I worked for Bevilles, I worked part-time to pay for things. I was just driven.
I think that's when you found your purpose or your why in life. It just always has a sort of a natural flow to it, and just it happens. So when you opened your business, were you scared? How did you feel?
Well, I opened up in a recession.
Oh, as you do.
As you do.
Mm-hmm. So what year did you open? Was it the GFC?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the most scariest thing I've ever done, and everyone was negative about it. No one really believed in me and my little business. The hardest part was people would come in to trial me out and they'd be like, oh, you've got guts opening up in a recession. And I was just trying to prove to them what it was that I was trying to offer. It was me and an apprentice. I worked 5 nights a week. I worked 3 nights within the business, 5 nights training for other people to pay the bills, 7 days a week as well. So
how long did you do that for?
2.5 years. I probably took a full-time wage for 4 years ago, and I've been in business 7. So I've never really taken a proper wage. I've always invested it back into the business, so I could grow it with staff. So
when you did open, were there any kind of, I suppose, because you're coming, did you through your apprenticeship, did you learn how to run a business at that point, or did you just have to teach yourself?
Well, I was with my first boss for 8 years, and I became a manager within that role. And then I wanted to not just be a suburban hairdresser, so I packed my bags and went from Greensboro to Brunswick. I thought I was hitting the city, and it was all exciting. And I wanted to be the manager. I went for a manager's role with 13 staff underneath me. I went straight for it. I was like, I'm going to get it. And I was knocked down going, oh, maybe we'll start you at a junior level. And I was like, oh.
I am no junior. Thank you.
But within 3 months, I was managing their Brunswick store. So I became an assistant manager in the Baldwin store. Then I went into their Brunswick store, and I did a lot of self-growth courses, management roles. Like, I'm constantly growing within me because I believe that's what you need to do for your staff. So to go into business, I would suggest that you need to have some form of management of people. People are everything, and you have to know people to be able to run any form of business.
So how did you get the word out there? Because in Brunswick, there's quite a lot of hairdressing salons. So how did you get the word out there, and how did you show people what was so special about Sarah Jade Hairdressing and Beauty?
I give my business a very personal touch, and I train all my staff to be very personal with their clients. I want every client to feel like when they walk in the door that they're stepping into our home, and that's constantly what I explain to my clients, and my staff. I'm always saying to them, please, when you open that front door, would you let a stranger into your house without offering them water, without letting them sit down and take a breath? They're the
you
little
things.
things.
Been to my house.
Well, they're the little things that they get spoken about, and it follows through for the whole 2 hours. When you're in my shop, I want to take you away from your outside world, create a dream, from the music to memories, to making you feel good about your hair, that you can manage it. We're not just hairdressers, we're psychologists in a way. We're not paid psychologists, not trained, by the way, but they're little things that people need to get out of their daily thing. So the word spreads. I also started attending every school thing that I could in the community, so mums would be aware of me. I joined with the league. I think when I first opened my business across the road at their first ever function, and I met Marie Cruz, and she's been so amazing, and I've been following her as well throughout her career and watching her grow. And you know what, you just start to surround yourself with like-minded people.
So what's been the most challenging thing for you about running your own business?
Changing from just doing and enjoying the passion of hair to switching to becoming a businesswoman and knowing the difference. When you're a businesswoman, you have to make hard calls and not be liked by people. My second biggest thing was learning how to not be my staff's friend and be their boss and their leader, and someone they can aspire to look up to rather than try to push them as a friend way, or manipulate them in a sense. And that's something that a lot of bosses do because they don't know how to manage people, and they don't get people, and they don't invest the time to understand what will help each individual grow.
So do you have a specific process that you follow? Because obviously people is very, very core to your success, and making sure that you've got the right people on board because they're delivering a certain kind of experience for your client.
Yeah.
So is there a particular process you follow to get the right person, or is it a gut feel, or what do you do? How do you bring and attract the right people for you?
Well, my biggest thing is that if I don't, every time I haven't followed my gut, I've always made the wrong decision and I've had to fix it later on. Gut is everything. You have to follow your gut feeling. When you first meet someone, you always know whether or not you're going to like them or you're not, and they're going to fit with your team. Every single one of my team, though, I always take into account that they're all different and they all like different things to what I like. So it needs to be that way to grow, but they're not necessarily always going to fit in. But massively follow your gut. And always outline the things that you would expect in yourself, in that person.
So being a true leader.
You have to.
So walking the talk, not just talking the talk.
Yeah, you have to always do that. That's one thing I even explain to my managers. If you're not leading by example, how do you expect your staff to? If you're not teaching every time you're training, every time, you never tell. If you don't tell and you are then coming to me saying that they haven't replicated what you've asked them to do, it's because you've told them, not taught them. You've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. So it's in everything.
I think that could be an Instagram post. Teach, do not tell.
Yes, it's true. That's my.
Sarah Jade.
I'm always saying it.
So what do you wish you had known before going into the business, before launching?
How important it is to pay your bills, especially super and tax, on time. It's massive.
Oh, we've all been there.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest learning curve I've ever had to go through, and it's probably the thing that's made me the sickest, with your interest costs and the ATO hounding you, and the fact that it puts a hold on growing yourself personally in any form of loans. Yeah, so that was my biggest learning curve, like massive. And always have your finger on your accounts, or learn to. Like, I know accounts and I'm a bookkeeper. You know, I used to bookkeep when I was younger, and I let a bookkeeper and an accountant take over, and I nearly lost the business. So it was hard.
So 7 years ago you started. Do you remember who your first customer was? The first person to walk through the door?
Yes,
Who
because
was
he
it?
made me sign my receipt. So he was my electrician who fitted out my store, and his name was Matthew Evans, and we actually all went to high school together, and he married one of my girlfriends back then, and he made me sign the receipt because he said, one day you will be famous. And he goes, and this will be worth money. And he made me charge him for his haircut.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sarah Jade, for being here today. It's been
Thank
a
you.
delight, and we're just so honoured. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you.